cloud with a solution, whether you're moving into the public cloud with a solution, or as I'll talk to a little bit further on in my presentation, a scenario that we call the hybrid cloud, where you're thinking about connecting all of these together. And I think that's where the real sweet spot for opportunity is. The third reason to think about Microsoft and partners is the money. Over $4 billion of incentive that we pay out each year. $4 billion of incentive that we've repivoted away from just paying on transaction to now paying across the full sales cycle. So we're now paying selling fees for partners that are getting in and helping us sell, obviously for transact, but then all the way out to the deployment phase of the cycle. So we're really trying to think much more end-to-end and looking at how do we work with partners across the full selling cycle. So now, Microsoft and HP. Again, I mentioned the frontline partnership, over a decade long, our strongest partnership without a doubt. And it's incredibly broad. I could spend an hour just talking about the things we're doing with HP and the frontline partnership. But as you see from this slide, it runs across the solutions gamut. Whether it's desktop solutions, whether it's communication and collaboration solutions, whether it's solutions in the data space, business intelligence space, or whether it's core computing infrastructure, we are doing it with HP. Now, I'm going to, of course, talk about the cloud. You can't come to a conference these days and not hear a bit about the cloud. But I want to make sure we don't ignore an incredible opportunity that's available to all of you, especially those playing in the desktop space today. And that's around Windows 7. We introduced Windows 7 just over 2 years ago, and it's been the most successful version of Windows we've ever put out there. Hundreds of millions of seats going into business. Hundreds of millions of seats going into small business. But you'll see from this chart that only about 25% of the installed base is yet on Windows 7. So there's an incredible opportunity out there to continue to drive this upgrade path from Windows XP. Windows XP is about to hit end of life in something, I think it's another 16 months now. So it's a great opportunity to go in and have that conversation with your customers about XP's coming end of life, time to start thinking about getting the Windows 7. And by the way, we're hitting the Windows 8 customer preview on February 29th, the end of this month. And so there's going to be a lot of noise going on around Windows 8. So capitalize on that, at least get them talking about how to get to Windows 7, because that's the path on how to get to Windows 8. Okay, so let's talk about the cloud. For the last 3 years, Microsoft has been working to transform our portfolio to the cloud. We have cloudified every one of our products. And if you see the full portfolio here is shown in front of you, it could be things like Exchange, where we've got Exchange on-premise, and then we've got Exchange up in Office 365. It could be like what we're doing on the server side, where we've got Windows Server and we have Windows Azure up in the cloud offering, and everything in between. The important thing to recognize here that's different from any other company's cloud software strategy is that we're focusing on symmetry. So what is running in the on-premise solution is also what we're going to be running in the cloud solution. Okay? What is running on-premise is what's going to be running up in the cloud solution. So why is that important? Why is symmetry important? Well, it's important because it lets you offer choice to customers. It lets you think about, we've got a version of Exchange, you want to move to a hosted private cloud? No problem, we can help you with that. You want to move to a public cloud? We can help you with that as well. And in fact, because of that symmetry, it's the same solution, whether on-premise, in the public cloud, or in a private cloud. And so it's very easy to mix and match and help customers move to what's the best solution for them. And then, of course, as I mentioned earlier, the opportunity to tie it all together. And we're the only company that's offering this level of support for what we call the hybrid cloud. There'll be applications that make sense to be on-premise. There'll be applications that make sense to have a piece that's going to a private cloud, or maybe the whole piece goes to private cloud, and there'll be pieces that make sense to move to a public cloud. Any large company, any large organization is going to have different scenarios. And that's why you need to have the full portfolio available to you to to be able to answer all of the needs of your customers. So let's talk about how the Microsoft and Hewlett-Packard relationship evolves to take advantage of this. Now, when we talk about cloud solutions, many people start thinking about applications that are probably net new, something where you've got a PC or device hitting on a pure cloud service. And there certainly are lots of those, and if you look today, the majority of them are in the consumer space. But the scenario that I think we will be running into more often than not is an extension, using the cloud as an extension, a way to take an on-premise solution and extend it to the cloud by actually moving just a piece of it up to the cloud, or potentially writing an extension of that application that would sit out and be hosted out in the cloud. So keep that in mind. That's probably the more likely scenario you're going to see. Now, the great thing about what Microsoft and HP are doing is we give you the opportunity to choose. You choose where you want to play, and you choose how you want to help your customers move to the cloud. Whether it's private cloud, whether it's on-premise, or whether it's public cloud, or stitching it all together. Let's take a look at one specific example of that. Okay? It's a new database appliance that just shipped. The HP Enterprise Database Consolidation Appliance. This is an appliance that comes pre-configured with Windows Server, System Center, and SQL Server. So it's a SQL Server private cloud in a box. And we're already seeing many of these being deployed. There's a great example I heard of the other day in Sweden, where a company had taken 50 standalone SQL servers and they had aggregated them together into 2 of these appliances. So again, for the partner opportunity around this, the partner opportunity selling the appliance, there's a partner opportunity around integration, there's a partner opportunity around services, all around this what is now a very clear private cloud opportunity. But that private cloud opportunity, again, it's just a piece of the overall solution at that customer in Sweden. They have other components that they're going to want to leave on-premise. And they have pieces that they're already looking at moving into the public cloud. And so you need to be the trusted advisor. That is your job as a partner, to be that customer's trusted advisor. To understand better than anyone else what are their business needs and how can you help them achieve that. And Microsoft and HP are set up to do that. We are the differentiation. So with that as background, what now? What should you guys all go and do now? Well, first of all, if you're not in the Microsoft Partner Network or MPN, please go out and consider joining MPN and start building your portfolio of competencies. Number 2, don't forget that classic revenue opportunity. I mentioned the XP opportunity, but the revenue that's coming from on-premise solutions is going to be there for years to come. And lastly, of course, the cloud. Use the cloud to position for the future. Even if you're selling on-premise, the customers want to hear about what's the plan for the future and how are you going to help take them to the future. But work